Hi friends, welcome back. On today's session, we'll be seeing how to install Oracle 11G on Oracle Enterprise Linux. So we will be proceeding with the 2-node rack installation, and then in one of the other sessions we'll be seeing how to add a node to the 2-node rack cluster, and then we'll also see how to remove the node from a 2-node rack cluster. Okay, so for today's exercise we have the two machines are there, so let's connect it to that machine and see what is the Linux version what we are having. So I am starting a putty session. The IP address is 10.17.57.124. I'll save this one as, say, rack. We'll give Vaishid rack 1. Okay, I'll save this. Okay, I'll just connect to this machine. The username is root and I have the password as Oracle. Okay, so the first thing what we are observing and what we have to find out is what should be the host name of this machine. So we can just issue the command host name. So we can see that the Vaishid 11G R24. So this is the first node of our, we'll make this is the first node of our machine, and we need to connect it to one more machine. That's the second node of our rack cluster. That is the IP address 10.17.57.125. Username is root, again password is Oracle, host name, it is Vaishid 11G R25. Okay, so the next option what we have to find out is for the rack cluster, as we discussed earlier, rack should be having two IP addresses. One is for the public interface and other one is the private interface. So we will see what is the IP addresses that is allocated for the machine. So let's go back to our Vaishid 11G R24 machine and give the command ivf config. Okay, so you can see that the IP address there are two IP addresses. One is at ETH0, that is having the IP address 10.17.57.124, and the ETH1 is having the IP address 10.17.56.124. So these are the two IP addresses of the first machine, and let's go back to the second machine and check the IP address by the command if config. So here we can see that the IP address is 10.17.57.125 and 10.17.56.125. Here you would have observed something. We can see that the 57 series is given to ETH0, that is a first Ethernet card, and 56 series, that is 10.17.56 series, we have given to ETH1. So that is one of the mandatory thing for the rack. That means if for all the nodes of the cluster, we should be having given the exact IP addresses, or say for example if you for each Ethernet card we should have the same series of the IP address. So for example for the ETH0 10.17.57, that is on first node, it is on ETH0 is having the 57 series. So on the second node also ETH0 is having the 57 series. The same way ETH1 is having ETH1 is having the 56 series, that is 10.17.56 series on both the first node as well as the second node of the rack cluster. Okay, next we will see whether we are able to ping to both the machines. That means the machines of your rack cluster should be pinging to each other. So I'll just clear the screen so that it will be more clarity will be there, and let's issue the command ping 10.17.57.125. okay, I am getting the ping. Let's ping to the 124 machine. Okay, that means I am able to ping to both the machines from my cluster. Okay, now let's see the version of the Linux operating system. We can issue the command uname -a So we can see that our it is of Linux operating system 2.68.1.18-164 EL5 with the kernel, and it is x84 64 bit. That means this is a 64-bit architecture. And also we can see the release version of the Linux that can be given by the command. We'll go to the etc folder. In that there is one release folder, oracle enterprise dot release version is there. So we'll find out that file name by giving the command. Okay, you can see that there are two files. One is enterprise release as well as the Red Hat Linux. So ours is Oracle Enterprise Linux. So we'll just scan that output and see what's the release version of the operating system. We can see that Enterprise Linux 5.4. Fine. We'll see. We'll check with the other machine also. cat/etc/enterprise release. You can see that both the machines have the same version of the operating system as well as the same patch level. We have confirmed that by giving the patch set level can be given confirmed by giving the command unm-a on the both the nodes. We have to give this command. So we can see that both is having 2.6.18.164 EL5. That's the same thing for both the machines. Hope this much is clear. We have confirmed the two machines are pinging to each other. Now the next requirement is that we have to add the public IP addresses and as well as the VIP address on the etc host file. There are two options. Either we can add the entry to the etc host file, or you can add this entry to your dynamic host control provider. So we don't have a DHCP setup in the lab, so we'll be going ahead with the adding the VIP as well as the public IP addresses on the etc host file. And also another mandatory requirement for this is that the public IP addresses and the VIP should be on the same subnet mask. So we can add these entries to our etc host file. So let's open our etc host file by giving vi/etc/hosts. Okay, you can see that 10.17.57.124 is being added, and also there can be one more entry, that is Vaishid 11G R24.Vaishid. So this is the .Vaishid is the domain name, and that is required for resolving the name using the DNS server. Okay, and we can see that we have added the entry on for our VIP addresses, and we can see that the VIP address and the public IP address are on the same subnet, that is on 10.17.57. Okay, and another check to be done is that the VIP address should not be responding to our ping unless we finish the grid infrastructure installation. So let's check that point. So we'll give the command ping.10.17.57.124. That is our public IP address which is responding, and let's try to ping 224, that 10.17.57.224. That is our virtual IP address, and we can see that the virtual IP address is not responding to our ping. And we'll just cross check from the other machine also, that is Vaishid 11G R24 machine. Ping 10.17.57.224. It's not responding to our pings. Let's confirm for the 225 as well. No, that's not pinging. Okay, so that this is pretty much clear that we have given the IP addresses. And also another point to be noted is that in the case of Oracle 10G, we had to give the etc, the IP addresses or of our private IP address, but in Oracle 11G it is not mandatory. So we are just not adding the private IP addresses on our etc host file. Hope this is clear. Now the next step is that we have confirmed our IP addresses, we confirmed the version of the operating system, and the next one is that we need to create the users. Okay, for the grid infrastructure installation, as explained in the document, we need to have the two users. One is a grid infrastructure user or the grid infrastructure owner, and the other one is an Oracle software owner. So and also this user should be part of a specific groups. So we need to create the groups for the Oracle software owner group, that is we'll be creating as the DBA, and the second one is that the inventory owner group will be creating this as OInstall, and then we will be creating the ASM admin group, the ASM DBA group, as well as the ASM Opera group. Okay, so we'll be creating the groups. First is that we have to create a group called DBA. We will be giving the command. I think the group DB is available in the operating system. Let's confirm that. That is cat/etc/group. Okay, we can see that all the groups are available already created. That is ASM admin 503 is created, ASM DBA 504, ASM Opera 505. Okay, and we have group called DBA with the 500, and we have the user group called OInstall with the 501. But the point to be noted is that this group, the group number, we can see that the group number is 503, 504, 505, etc. This should be the same across all the machine. So we'll be just cross verifying the other machine as well. cat/etc/group. Okay, the same way ASM admin OInstall, ASM DBA, all the groups are being created. Okay, so how we can create a group? We can create a group called by the group add command. We can issue the command, say we'll just clear it. We'll for showing an example, we'll just create a group. That is by the command group add -g, the group number, say I give us 700, and the group name is Vaishit. A group is being created. We can confirm by the command cat/etc/group. We can see that a group called Vaishit is being created. Okay, now as we require a user has to be created, so we can see that there are two users, grid and the Oracle user is created. So let's see what are the privileges, what are the groups this users belong in. We can give the command id space grid. We can see that the user grid is being created with the group number, the user id 501, and his primary group is OInstall, and the secondary groups are OInstall, ASM admin, ASM DB, and ASM open. The same way the id Oracle, user id is 500, the primary group is OInstall, the secondary group will OInstall, DBA, and ASM DBA. Okay, the same thing can be cross verified with the other machine also. id grid, user is 501, is belonging to OInstall, the primary group. We have the secondary group as OInstall, ASM DBA, ASM admin, and ASM open, and id Oracle is being okay. Now for the discussion sake, we will see how to create a user. We can create a user by giving the command user add -u 701, the user id -g Vaishit. Okay, the primary group of that user, and -g the other group. We'll just create him as a part of the DBA group, and the home directory -d /home/Vaishit. Okay, and if you want to give the password, we can give the password as Vaishit itself, and the username is Vaishit, or else password, let's change the password. We'll give the password as test123, and the username, the last parameter is the username. We can give the username as Vaishit. There's a typo is there. Let's The issue is that we don't have a group. We created the group on the other machine. That's the reason. So what we'll do that, we'll just copy this command and we'll execute from the other node where we created this group. A user has been created. We can confirm by ID Vaishit. Clear. Okay, so hope I think you are clear with how to create a group and how to assign that user to a different group. Okay, so now the next step, what we'll do that we'll be creating the directories for our Oracle inventory location, the grid infrastructure home location, as well as the Oracle software home location, as well as the Oracle base, and we'll give the appropriate permission that is required. So as a standard, we will be creating all the softwares, we'll keep all these directories in the /Vaishit folder. So we'll go to the folder cd/Vaishit. Okay, we can just list out. We can see that there we have all the softwares available in this location. So we'll create first directory, that is mkdir 11.2.0. Then we'll create a directory mkdir Oracle inventory for our inventory location, inventory. Okay, then mkdir grid_home to store the grid infrastructure home folder, and we'll create Oracle db home_1 for mkdir db home_1 for our Oracle software home directory. Okay, once we created, now we can see that all the directories are there. We can see that there are directories, but all these directories are owned by the root user. So we need to change the permission. So we'll make ch-on -r. We are giving recursive permission grid:/o install the Oracle base directory, that is 11.2.0, and we give the same permission for Oracle inventory, because Oracle and the grid user, the primary group of both users are all installed. So both users will be able to update the inventory. Okay, and again grid_home, that is nothing but the grid infrastructure's home directory, that is should be owned by the grid user, and the Oracle home directory, that is db_home or db home_1 should be owned by the Oracle user. db home_1. Okay, now let's give ls-l and see whether we got the correct permission. We can see that return install home. Okay, fine. We'll go to the other machine and we'll see whether these directories are available or not. So we'll just give ls-l cd/Vaishit ls-l. You can see that we have the the location is db home_1. So on the other machine we have created db home_1. This is db_home_1. So we will make both directories of the same name. So what we will do that we will go to the 24 machine and we will drop this directory, that is rm-rf db, and we will create a folder mkdir db_home1. just cross verifying, yes. Okay, and we will make Oracle as the owner of this file system or this particular folder, db_home Oracle :o install db_home1. Okay, now the next step is that we will be just logging as the user and see whether the user got the a permission to read write on the specific directories. So let's switch to Oracle user, and we will be giving cd slash Vaishit slash db home underscore 1. We can just check whether Oracle user got a permission by starting a file. Just just creating a file. Just create an empty file by the command touch space the file name touch p. We are able to create. So that means the Vaishit user, the Oracle user is having the read and write privilege on slash home, slash Vaishit slash the db home file. Also, he should be having the privilege to write to the inventory location. So let's see whether he is having the permission slash Vaishit slash aura inventory touch. Okay, let's see what's the privilege the user got. Okay, if you are looking, the inventory location got only the super or all only it's a 755 privilege. That means the owner can read and write the files, but the group members are not allowed to read and write on. So what we will do that we will be just switching to root user and give the appropriate privilege as well. That is chmod -r 775 aura inventory. Okay, the same way we will give the permission to the base also, but the home directory of the grid infrastructure user, that is grid underscore home, doesn't require this permission changes. Yes. Now switch back to Oracle user and see whether he can write to the inventory file. Touch T. He is able to create a file. Okay. The same way we will be switching to grid user. su-grid. Okay. cd slash Vaishit slash grid underscore home touch T. He is able to write. Now go back to the Oracle inventory location touch T. Okay, this is because the file was being created by the Oracle user. Okay, and we can see that the file, the owner got the read write privilege, but the other user don't have the read and write privilege. So we'll just create a file by touch P and we'll see the file. So the group don't have the read and write privilege, but that can be set up during the time of the inventory updation. Okay, so the point is that the user got the read write privilege as well as the group got the read write privilege here. Okay, now we'll go back to the other folder and we'll see whether these privileges are available. Here the permissions are already set, so we have to just change the permissions for the inventory as well as the base directory. So we'll give the command chmod -R 775 11.2.0 space aura inventory. Okay, now switch to grid user cd space slash Vaishit aura inventory. Okay, touch T cd slash grid underscore home touch T. Okay, the grid user is able to write to the inventory as well as the home directory of the grid user. Now switch back to Oracle user and see whether he got the privilege to write to its home directory. cd slash Vaishit slash db, yeah, touch T. He is able to connect. Now let's go to the inventory folder or inventory touch T. T is being created by the grid user. So let's create another folder, touch Y. Is able to create. That means the user got the privilege to create the files. So now the question may be coming. So the inventory, a file which created by the grid user is not able to update by the Oracle user or vice versa. So how the inventory will be updated? That's the reason we are creating the we are running the Aura inst root.sh. When you are running the Aura inst root.sh, the script will keep the permissions so that any user belong to the group will be able to update the inventory files. Okay. Now, since we have completed the the directory creation as well as the privilege granting, now we'll go back to the first machine and we'll unzip the software. Okay. So I am a grid user. The software is located in Vaishit folder. Let's see whether I have the privilege to here. I don't have the privilege. That's not a problem. I can switch back to the root user and I can unzip the software. So the first software that has to be unzipped is the grid infrastructure software. So I'll just give you the command. The grid infrastructure software is linux.64_11g r2 grid.zip. Okay, let me unzip that software. Unzip, then Linux grid, unzip. Yeah. During the time of the Oracle, once first we will be installing the grid infrastructure, and after that we will be installing the Oracle software or RDBM software. At that time we will be unzipping the RDBM software also. And also another point to be noted is that we are starting the installation from one node and the software will get propagated to the other node. So we don't have to unzip the binaries on both the machines. Only one machine should be fine. Okay, the installation is unzipping of the software is completed. Okay, we can see that there is a folder called grid is created, and we will be going to that folder and see what's the contents of that one. And we can see that there is one run installer script is there, using through which we will be installing our grid infrastructure. We will be proceeding with the grid infrastructure in a short while. Okay, as of now we have created the usage, we have created the required directories. Now we have to create the ASM disk groups. Okay, so we will be using the Oracle ASM library files to create the Oracle ASM disk. So let's first check whether we have the enough library, whether we have the Oracle ASM RPMs installed on our system. We can issue the command rpm-qa pipe grep Oracle ASM. Spelling mistake is an RPM. Okay, we can see that there are the important library files are Oracle ASM library files, Oracle ASM support files, as well as the Oracle ASM core file that is being given by Oracle ASM 2.6.1.8 164. Okay, let's confirm whether we have the same thing on the other machine also. That is rpm-qa pipe grep Oracle ASM. Okay, now we have the library files are available. Now the next one is that we have to configure our Oracle ASM for automatic startup as well as the user permissions. So we can issue the command. This has to be executed as the root user. Okay, so we'll giving and has to be executed from both the nodes. So once the Oracle ASM library files or RPMs are installed, we'll be able to configure the ASM by the following command: /user /oracle /user /sbin /oracle ASM space configure. when you are giving configure, it will give you the current setup. If you want to configure, then we can issue the command, the same command with -i option, that is /user sbin oracle asm configure -i. Okay, default the first question, default user to on the oracle on the driver interface, it is grid, and the group is asm admin, and it's asking whether you want to start up asm library driver files along with the boot up. Yes. Do you want oracle asm disk to be scanned, because oracle asm is storing the disk information, or the storage information on the header of the disk, so it has to be scanned every time whenever the server is boot up. Yes. Okay, it writes the configuration information. Now we can cross verify the configuration by giving the command /user sbin oracle asm configure. Yeah, we can see the output. Now let's go back to the other machine and do the same activity. So /user sbin care should be given as it should be as a root user oracle asm space configure. As of now, there is no user ID or group name is given. We'll give the same same command with the -i option. The user to be on this grid. Interface is asm admin. It has to be started along with the boot. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Once this is completed, now we will be creating our disks. So for that, as explained in the documentation, we have given each node is provided with the 2 disks. One is a 2 GB disk for storing the voter disk and OCR, and another 8 GB disk for storing the database files. We can cross verify that by the command fdisk -l. You can see that there are 2 files, that is one /dv/sdb1, the first partition of the file is of 2 GB, and the other one is at /dv/sdc, that also has a partition that is 8 GB. We'll cross verify on the other node as well. fdisk -l. So here you can see that the SDB is of 2 GB and SDC is of 8 GB. Okay, and each disk is created with a single partition. You can see that SDB1 as well as SDC1. Okay, now we'll create the ASM disk. We can create the ASM disk by the command /user /sbin /oracle asm space create asm, sorry, spelling mistake, space create disk. I'll just give vote1 space, the vote1 you can give any name. I am just giving the name as vote1, and I want the 2 GB partition to be given for, because I want to create the OCR as well as vote disk on this particular directory. So I'll give the command /dv/sdc1. Okay, there is a mistake here, because once we configure, we have to start up our ASM. That we can check the present status of the ASM by giving the command /user /sbin /oracle asm space status. You can see that ASM drivers are not mounted. We can mount that by giving the command /user /sbin oracle asm space init. Okay, you can say that the ASM drivers files are started. Now again we can cross verify by giving the status command. This has to be executed from the other node also. /user /sbin /oracle asm space init. Okay, we can cross verify the status by giving the command status. Okay, now we'll go back to the 24 machine and we'll create the disk. We'll issue the same command, that is /user sbin oracle asm create disk vote1, then the first partition. But before that, again cross verify whether that is the right partition. fdisk -l. The 2 GB partition is sdb1. So we'll correct that in our command. It should be sdb1, or else we'll just clear it so that it will be more readable. Okay, /user /sbin oracle asm create disk what1 /sdb1. Fine. Okay, sometimes we will be getting an error message that unable to query the file. So this is a issue that is getting in our virtualized environment. What you can do is that we can issue the same, we can just copy this command and execute from the other node. You can see that the disk is being created, and we can cross verify the status of the disk by giving the command /user /sbin /oracle asm space scan disks. Okay, the same command with list disks. You can see that a disk called what1 is being created. We can do the same step here. We can just issue the command user /sbin /oracle asm space scan disks. Okay, it is showing that it is instantiating the disk what1. Okay, we can again cross verify by giving the command list disks. Okay, we'll again create one more disk. That is the what1 is for storing the OCR and what1 disk information, and for storing the ASM information we'll create another disk called data1. That's by /user /sbin /oracle asm space create disk data1 /dev /sdc1. Fine. Yeah, it this time it took without an issue. So again we'll do a scan disk followed by a list disk command. You can see that both data and data1 as well as what1 is available. We'll just do a scan disk. So the disk creation need not be or cannot be performed from both the nodes. It has to be done only from one node, and from the other node we can just check the read the header of the disk by giving the command /user /sbin /oracle asm scan disk, and we can again list the disk by issuing the command list disk option. Again, we can see that it's instantiated the data1 disk as well. Yeah. So now we have our ASM disks are available. So we have all the required. We have unzipped the software. So we have all the setups that's required for starting up the installation procedure. So then the next we will be proceeding with the installation of the grid infrastructure. Okay, before that there is some more additional changes has to be, or testing has to be done. One is that we have to confirm whether our this scan as Oracle 11G installation, we need to provide a scan VIP address, and that scan VIP address has to be resolved by the DNS. So the next checking will be that whether we have the scan cluster name or scan VIP details are resolvable. So we will see how to confirm whether our scan cluster IP address is configured. So the first thing is that we have to find out the name server of our machine, or the name server or the name or the IP address of our DNS server. For that we can just issue the command cat space /etc/resolve.conf. Okay, so we can see the name server, the IP address is 10.17.57.155. Please understand that this activity or this IP address should be given by your sys administrator. Normally it's not a DB activity to set up the DNS server. So, but we can confirm whether the scan cluster IP addresses given, the scan cluster name given to us is resolved by the DNS. So, for that you can issue the command ns lookup scan hyphen cluster dot wireshith. So we can see that name, the scan hyphen cluster dot wireshith, is being resolved to 160, 161 and 160. That is 10.17.57.162, 10.17.57.160 and 10.17.57.161. We will confirm the same thing with the other node also. Cat /etc /resolve.conf. Okay, ns lookup space wireshith scan hyphen cluster dot wireshith. Okay, here also it's getting resolved into two names, and so the point is that the scan cluster is being resolved here. Now the last check to be done is that whether we have configured the NTP or not. We can issue the command service NTPD space status. The NTPD service is stopped, and why it is required is that for the rack installation to be successful or to work the rack without any issue, both the nodes of the cluster should have the same timestamp. In previous version, we used to update the timestamp on both the nodes of the cluster, but in Oracle 11g is supporting either configuring the same timestamp by using the network time protocol service which is available with Linux, or else it also allows you to start up this process by using the cluster time synchronization daemon. So if NTP is configured, then the cluster time synchronization daemon will be running in the passive mode. But if the NTP is not there, then the cluster synchronization service will be daemon on active node, and Oracle will configure the same timestamp on both the nodes. But if you are configure the NTP, then NTP will make sure that the timestamp on both the nodes are the same. So we can see that the service NTP is stopped, and to make sure that the our rack installation is not following NTP, instead it is following the cluster time synchronization daemon, we will be renaming our NTPD files. So we can just ls-l/etc/ntp star. We can see that there is one etc/ntp.conf is there. We'll just rename it. Move /etc/ntp.conf to /etc/ntp.conf.alt. We'll issue the same command on the other node as well. Fine. Here also we'll just check service NTP status. The NTP service is stopped, and also we have renamed the we have renamed removed the NTP configuration file. So nowhere it's going to start up the NTP, but itself the Oracle cluster synchronization daemon will be running it. With that, we have completed all the preliminary checks for installing the rack. The next we will be logging as a grid user, and we will be starting the installation. So we have configured the grid we have unzipped the software on wireshith 11g R24. So we'll be just logging to that machine, and we'll be proceeding with the installation. Before that, let's change the password of we'll make sure that the password of the grid user is the same on all the places. We'll just issue the command password grid. I'm just giving the password as wireshith. Okay, I'm just giving the same password on all the places. PSSWD space grid. Username is password. the password is changed here. Okay, now we'll proceed with the grid infrastructure installation. So first we'll switch to grid user, and then we need to start up the installation in the GUI mode. So first we will do that, we will be starting the Xmanager software. Xmanager Enterprise Edition, we'll go with the passive option. Xmanager is an X Windows software which you can download. The trial versions can be downloaded from the website, or else you have the option of purchasing the software. So to redirect the display, we need to for redirecting the display. First we have to find out the IP address of the our Windows machine. We can issue the command cmd and just use command ipconfig. Okay, so the local IP address is 10.17.57.5. so we'll be redirecting the display to here. So the command will be export display equal to 10.17.57.5 colon 0.0. If you are connecting from the Linux operating system, or say assume that your client is Linux and you are using, or maybe you may be using some other software like NX client or something, you don't have to set the display like this. You can directly connect by giving SSH space hyphen X. X is being capital letter, you will be able to get the display. Since we are using Windows as our client, and you are using the software for PuTTY to connect to the Linux box, so you may have to use the Xmanager. So the smooth redirection of the display will be taking place. So we will see whether the display is redirected by giving a command xclock. If you are getting a clock on our desktop, then that means that the display is redirected. Yes, we are getting a clock, so that means our display is redirected. Now we can go to the Varshith/grid folder where we unzipped our software. We have the software over here, and we can just call the run installer to start up the installation. /run installer. Just give /run installer and press the enter key. It does some prerequisites like whether we have enough space, whether we have the color schema corrected. Okay, the installer is starting. Okay, now we are getting an option wherein which it's asking you what type of installation we are going. We have the option like install and configure a grid infrastructure on a cluster or on a standalone server, or upgrade your existing grid infrastructure, or only the grid, install the grid infrastructure software only. So we'll be proceeding with our first option, that is the installing the grid infrastructure on a cluster. can just click on the next button. Now we have the option like select the typical installation and or the select the advanced installation. When you are taking the advanced installation, we have the option to configure many components. So we'll be just selecting the advanced installation and we will be proceeding with the next button. Okay, the language is by default selected English. That should be fine. Okay, in this screen it's asking us the cluster name as well as a scan name as well as a port number, and also it gives an option to configure GNS. GNS requires the dynamic host control provider, and we don't have the dynamic host control provider in our environment, so we are not configuring the rack using the GNS. We'll uncheck it. Okay, and the cluster name can be anything. That's a name given by us. That is so Vaishit underscore cluster should be fine, but the scan name should be given by the your network or system administrator. In our case, it is scan hyphen cluster dot Vaishit, and the port number is 1521. That we can maintain that particular port number. So when you are clicking on the next button, Oracle the installer program is going to check whether we have given the scan cluster name everything correctly or not. So the next when you are clicking the next button, it is going to do this checkers, and if any of these values are incorrect, then the installer will throw an error. It's validating the scan information. Okay, in the screen, Oracle is asking you the information about the nodes which are the part of this cluster. So we have the Vaishit 11G R24 and the VIP address is Vaishit 11G R24 hyphen VIP. We'll add the other node as well. That is Vaishit 11G R25. Okay, now we have to since installation during the time of installation is happening as a without a passwordless prompt. That means the installation will be starting from the first node and the binaries will be copied to the second node. So during that time, Oracle don't have an option to ask for the password. So a passwordless connectivity should be set between the two machines. So we can just click on the SSH connectivity, and we can enable the SSH connectivity. For that, we have to give the username and the password. The username is grid and the password is Vaishit. Okay, we can just click on the setup button. Here Oracle has successfully established the passwordless authentication between the nodes. We can just press with the since it is the SSH connectivity is set, we can just click on the next button. Okay, in this screen, Oracle asking us which is the public and which is a private. ETH0 is by default it's taken as a public IP address because we have configured the virtual IP address also on the 10.17.57 series. So the same subnet mask, since the public and the VIP is on the same subnet mask, Oracle considering that as a public Ethernet card and taking other Ethernet card as the private one. So since that the configuration is correct, we can just click on the next tab. In this screen, Oracle is asking us which is the method of where we want our OCR and voting disk to be created. Is it under the ASM storage or it's under the shared file system? Okay, so we will be selecting ASM as a storage medium. So we'll just click on the ASM storage and just click on the next button. By default, Oracle is telling us to create a disk group for storing the OCR information, and it also shows the candidate disk which we created in the initial stage by using by using the create disk option of the Oracle ASM utility. So we'll go with the voting disk. We'll just select on the vote disk what we want, and we will change the group name as CRS. This is not case sensitive, still we can give the capital letter, and the redundancy is external because we have only one disk, so we will be able to go with only with the external redundancy. We have selected the 2 GB disk for storing the OCR and voting disk information. Here Oracle is asking the password for sys and ASNMB user. We have the option of giving the different username and different password for both the users, or we can give the same password. Here I'll be giving the password as, but remember from Oracle 11G onwards the password is case sensitive. I'm just giving the password as Oracle. Okay, it's giving message that the password whatever we entered is not conformed to the Oracle's recommended standards. We can ignore since it's our development database. It's telling us to, do you want to continue? We can just click on yes. Okay, we don't want to set up the intelligent platform management interface, so we'll just disable that feature and proceed with the next option. Okay, now this is the place where we have to give more importance. So our ASM administrator group is ASM admin, and the DBA group, where in which the ASM DBA group, the consumers of the ASM disk group like the database user should be able to write to the disk group. So they should be able to there should be a part of the group of ASM database administrator is nothing but ASM DBA, and ASM instance administrator operator, that is ASM open. So by default, the whatever we have selected is correct. If any changes are there, we may have to select on the drop down menu and select that option. So in our case, ASM instance administrator group is ASM admin, ASM database administrator group is ASM DBA, ASM instance operator group is ASM open. We'll just click on the next option. Okay, now it's asking us the Oracle base location as well as the grid infrastructure home directory. So we'll just give Vaishit /11.2.0 as Oracle base, and we'll give Vaishit /grid_home as the Oracle grid infrastructure software location. So this path should be existing on either it should be existing or otherwise Oracle will be creating it, but the parent directories should be existing on both the nodes, and also the grid infrastructure user should have the read, write and privilege on both the nodes. We'll click on the next button. So in this case, Oracle is telling that these directories contain some files, because if you remember correctly, we have just given we have created some files. So Oracle recommends that these files to be empty, and gives a warning message that these directories are not empty. Here Oracle is asking us the select Oracle home contains some directory. Do you want to continue? Yes, we can just click on the yes button, since we know that the files are created is the one which we created. So this can be ignored. And Oracle asking us the inventory location. And we have created as I think a couple of next was given in the previous attempt. So the path should be Aura inventory. Yeah, just click on next, because when we created the Aura inventory directory, we created with a small letter. it says that the central inventory is not empty. Okay, it's because of the files we created. So what we'll do that we'll go ahead and delete the contents of that file. So cd slash yshith or inventory, and we'll remove the files from there. rm-rf star. Okay, we'll do the same thing from the other node also. Root @ yshith 11g r24. Okay, now we'll come back and try to run this once again. Just click on next. Now in this screen, Oracle is doing a certain prerequisite checks. Here Oracle has successfully established the passwordless authentication between the nodes. We can just press with the since it is the SSH connectivity is set, we can just click on the next button. Okay, in this screen, Oracle asking us which is the public and which is a private. ETH0 is by default it's taken as a public IP address because we have configured the virtual IP address also on the 10.17.57 series. So the same subnet mask, since the public and the VIP is on the same subnet mask, Oracle considering that as a public Ethernet card and taking other Ethernet card as the private one. So since that the configuration is correct, we can just click on the next tab. In this screen, Oracle is asking us which is the method of where we want our OCR and voting disk to be created. Is it under the ASM storage or it's under the shared file system? Okay, so we will be selecting ASM as a storage medium. So we'll just click on the ASM storage and just click on the next button. By default, Oracle is telling us to create a disk group for storing the OCR information, and it also shows the candidate disk which we created in the initial stage by using by using the create disk option of the Oracle ASM utility. So we'll go with the voting disk. We'll just select on the vote disk what we want, and we will change the group name as CRS. This is not case sensitive, still we can give the capital letter, and the redundancy is external because we have only one disk, so we will be able to go with only with the external redundancy. We have selected the 2 GB disk for storing the OCR and voting disk information. Here Oracle is asking the password for sys and ASNM user. We have the option of giving the different username and different password for both the users, or we can give the same password. Here I'll be giving the password as, but remember from Oracle 11G onwards the password is case sensitive. I'm just giving the password as Oracle. Okay, it's giving message that the password whatever we entered is not conformed to the Oracle's recommended standards. We can ignore since it's our development database. It's telling us to, do you want to continue? We can just click on yes. Okay, we don't want to set up the intelligent platform management interface, so we'll just disable that feature and proceed with the next option. Okay, now this is the place where we have to give more importance. So our ASM administrator group is ASM admin, and the DBA group, where in which the ASM DBA group, the consumers of the ASM disk group, like the database user, should be able to write to the disk group. So they should be able to there should be a part of the group of ASM database administrator. It's nothing but ASM DBA. And ASM instance administrator operator, that is ASM open. So by default the whatever we have selected is correct. If any changes are there, we may have to select on the drop down menu and select that option. So in our case, ASM instance administrator group is ASM admin, ASM database administrator group is ASM DBA, ASM instance operator group is ASM open. I'll just click on the next option. Okay, now it's asking us the Oracle base location as well as the grid infrastructure home directory. So we'll just give Vaishit /11.2.0 as Oracle base, and we'll give Vaishit /grid_home as the Oracle grid infrastructure software location. So this path should be existing on either it should be existing or otherwise Oracle will be creating it, but the parent directories should be existing on both the nodes, and also the grid infrastructure user should have the read, write and privilege on both the nodes. We'll click on the next button. So in this case, Oracle is telling that these directories contain some files, because if you remember correctly, we have just given we have created some files. So Oracle recommends that these files to be empty, and gives a warning message that these directories are not empty. Here Oracle is asking us the select Oracle home contains some directory. Do you want to continue? Yes, we can just click on the yes button, since we know that the files are created is the one which we created. So this can be ignored. And Oracle asking us the inventory location. And we have created as I think a couple of next was given in the previous attempt. So the path should be Aura inventory. Yeah, just click on next, because when we created the Aura inventory directory, we created with a small letter. It says that the central inventory is not empty. Okay, it's because of the files we created. So what we'll do, that we'll go ahead and delete the contents of that file. So cd slash Vaishit or inventory, and we'll remove the files from there. rm-rf star. Okay, we'll do the same thing from the other node also. Root @ Vaishit 11G R24. Okay, now we'll come back and try to run this once again. Just click on next. Now in this screen, Oracle is doing a certain prerequisite checks. Now Oracle has completed the prerequisite checks. Now we should be we are getting an error message that it's checking for the swap space, and there is not enough swap area. This error message can be safely ignored. So we will be just clicking on the ignore all option, and we will be proceeding with the next button. Okay, now we are getting an option to create a response file, or whatever we created, whatever the answers we have given for the universal installer, all this information can be stored in the form of a response file. So we'll just create as a response file, and we'll give that location as the home directory of the grid user, and the file name will be grid.rsp. Okay, and we can have a look on the inventory, the installation information that is going to install to the Oracle basis slash Vaishit slash 11.2.0, and Oracle home is slash Vaishit the grid underscore home, and source location is the Vaishit slash grid install directory where we uncumber the software, and inventory locations slash Vaishit slash Aura inventory, and the inventory owners group is oinstall. And we have the cluster name is Vaishit-cluster, scan name is scan, the local node is the node from which you are starting the installation is Vaishit 11G R24, the remote node is Vaishit 11G R25, and the scan cluster name is scan-cluster.vaishit, and port number is 1521, public interface is ETH0, and private interface is ETH1. So this gives a complete information about the a complete picture of what all the information we have provided during the time of the installation, and we can proceed with the installation. We can just click on the finish button. Now we can see that the installer is started the installation, and here you can see that after the setup of the files, it is doing a perform remote operations. In this stage, Oracle is going to copy, the universal installer is going to copy the installable files from the first node to the second node, and that is where it requires the passwordless login to the remote node, and we have already set it. Here you can see that Oracle is Unix installer is copying the Oracle homes to that Oracle home, the grid infrastructure home, that is slash by slash grid home to the remote node. Once the remote operations are pending, we will be prompted to execute the corresponding root scripts. Now Oracle is asking us to run certain script, that is aura inst root.sh on the first node as well as the second node, and also we have to run the root.sh on the first node and second node. Okay, here Oracle is given an option or the steps to do it. It is telling that run the script on the local node first. After successful installation, you can run the script on parallel with the other node. Since we have only two nodes, we have to do the scripts on the first node, then followed with the second node. So we'll be running the aura ins root.sh on version 11G R24 and then R25. Then we'll be running the root.sh on the 24 machine as well as the 25 machine. Let me start a putty session. Okay, so the location of the script inventory script will be vishit slash aura inventory dot slash aura inst root.sh. Fine. Now we'll go to the second node. cd slash vishit aura dot slash aura. Okay, so the root.sh inventory aura inst root scripts are completed. Now we'll be going ahead with the aura root.sh. Okay, so we'll go to the directory vishit grid underscore home, then root.sh. Enter the full path name of the local bin directory. By default, the local bin directory will be users local bin. It is asking like the DB home scripts are already available because this server has been undergone multiple installations, so the scripts are already there. So it's asking whether you want to overwrite it or not. We can just go ahead with overwriting. Yeah. Now Oracle is starting the grid infrastructure specific installation, specific activities. That it's creating the OCR file system. It creates the OCR directory and it creates OCR files, and also it creates different resources and start that resources one by one. Once this is completed successfully, we'll be running the root.sh on the other node as well. Now we can see that the root.sh is completed successfully, and it's updating the information to the Oracle inventory. Okay, once this is completed, we have to run the same script on the second node. Before that, we will be just checking whether the cluster status is good for this particular node. So for that, we have to go to our grid infrastructure home/bin, that is cd/vishit /grid_home/bin, and we will issue the command crsctl check cluster. We can see that all the background process, that is a cluster ready services CRS, cluster synchronization services CSS, and event manager, all the three background processes are online. Now we will be going ahead with the Vishit 11G R25 machine and run the root.sh. /root.sh. It is asking the same questions which asked when it's run for the first time in 25 machine. But here the thing is that it is not going to create any values for the OCR, because the OCR is already being created. It's just only trying to start up the resources on the second node as well. When the root.sh run on the first node, it created the resources, it created the OCR it created the OCR directory on our disk group, CRS disk group, and then it created the values for the resources, and then added the entry to init tab file to start up this resources automatically, and then it's restarted the resources. But in the case of second node, already the OCR is built, so it need not create any new entries. What it does is that it adds the script, that is Oracle high availability service driven script to the /etc/init tab file, and then it start up the different resources on this node. Okay, so the script is completed successfully on the second node also. We'll again just verify the status of the second node. That's by going vishit grid bin /crsctl check cluster. Okay, we can see that one, and we can from one node itself we can see the status of all the cluster by giving the option -alt to the check cluster command, crsctl check cluster -alt. We can see that both the nodes are active. Okay, once this is completed, we can go to the we can just click on the OK button, and Oracle will start running some of the other prerequisite checks. I mean, sorry, other post checks which will be running. Here we can see that one of the verification utilities failed, but that error message, we can just click on the details, and we can see that one of the verifications failed, but that can be safely ignored. Just click OK, and just click on the skip option, so that error message will be ignored, and then we can just click on the next button. Okay, so the grid infrastructure installation is successful, and we have already verified whether our cluster is ready. We have given the command crctl check cluster -all, and we could see that all the three background processes are up and running as expected on all the nodes of the cluster. Hope this is clear to you guys. Thank you. Now the next session we will be proceeding with the RDBMS installation.